Hi guys, and welcome to my next video where I play with these lovely tools from STABILO. So grab your art materials and let's dive in. So in celebration of World Art Day on the 15th of April, STABILO was so generous to send me this pack of their art supplies. It wasn't in return for anything else. It was just a free sample package, which was very, very considerate of them, and I'm very grateful. So they sent me 3 different products to try. First was the watercolor pencils, which is something I've given a go before, but not really had much experience with. They also sent me a pack of brush tip pens, which are really cool, and I can't wait to give those a go. The main focus was this pack of acrylic markers from their free range, but that was the kind of the main thing that they were going to send me, and were just really kind to send me the other 2 pens, the pens and the pencils as well at the same time. So I started off with something that I don't always do, and that's make a swatch with the materials. Now I started off with the pencils. I thought, why not? Just pick a product, go with them. And they were actually really nice to use. I like that the packaging is all card. There's no plastic in this particular packaging. They go down really nicely. They go down quite smooth. I have not had masses of experience with pencils, so I can't really compare them, but I enjoyed using them. I also don't know how they compare up to other watercolor pencils, so I don't know whether they are smoother or whatever. I can't really compare, but from using these I really like them. So I started off using them dry and making a swatch of all the colours first. So I say I did a swatch of all the colours. I actually didn't use the white pencil, only because they're notorious for not providing much pigment. I probably would have been better off, say, swatching that one on a bit of black card, but oh well. So I did leave that one out. Now after the colour had gone down dry, I thought I'd apply some water to them, see how they kind of blended out. They were actually really fun. I think the pigment seems really nice, and not too strong, not too, I guess weak. There's a nice amount of pigment there. Blending was a bit tricky, but I think that might have just been the paper that I was using instead. I did have a go with using 2 different colour pencils and seeing how they blended together, and that just turned out to be a mess, but that's nothing to do with pencils, that's just me. Oh well, it was a little test just to see how they got on, and it just turned into a muddy mess, but yep. That's my fault. Never mind. So after I was done with the pencils, I moved on to the brush tip pens. Now you're going to have to excuse my camera as it just goes, do you know what? I'm going to be out of focus now. So you don't actually see me put down a bunch of the pens in the first place, which is kind of annoying. But it does come back into focus in a minute, so you can see me using them then. So I will say that I absolutely love these pens. They are so vibrant, it's unreal. They are full of ink, they're extremely juicy, and what I love about the brush, they don't seem to fray in any way. Well, at least they didn't in the first kind of test with them. They were really sharp, they could draw some super fine lines and also the really thick lines at the same time. So I highly recommend these pens. Really, really nice, really vibrant, really juicy. I think they're water-based, so that's something to bear in mind. They don't blend particularly well, but again, I think that's because they're water-based and they dry quite quickly. But if that's something you're after, yeah, give these a go, they're really nice. So onto the acrylic markers. I was most excited about these because I've sort of in the background been doing quite a bit with acrylic markers. They are a lot of fun to use, so it's nice to have a different brand. I've actually got what have I got? I've got Posca and I think Pilot. Is it Pilot? Let me just check. Yes, Pilot markers as well. So I've got a mix of those brands, and it's nice to give another brand a go. I don't have any of these massive chisel markers as well, so it's a shame that I've only got these 2 colours, but again, this was just a sample taster set, and I might go out and get some more some other time. But they put down a lot of paint. They're really heavy, so it makes me think that there's a lot of paint in them, which is really cool. So in this set that I got, there were 3 different sizes, excuse me. There was the big old chisel pens, there were the, I think, 2 to 3 millimeters, which are these ones. I did compare them to my Poscas. The tips are much rounder with the STABILO ones, but you can still get nice sort of fine lines with them as well. And then they also sent these markers, which I think are something like 1 to 2 millimeters. I'm not 100% on them, I don't have them with me at the minute, but yeah, they're really nice as well. They put a lot of paint down, they're very smooth, very nice to use. The nibs are really good. And I like that the set came with quite a nice little selection of colours. Nothing, you know, too niche as it were, but there was still a nice little range that you could probably, I suppose if you were wanting to mix your own colours, you probably could. I would just say use like a palette on the side and put some of the paint down there and mix them in, and you could probably apply them with a brush. But you know, if you're looking for a nice little starter set, this is probably a really good shout. I'm not saying that I've particularly seen, oh no, Posca do starter sets as well, but this STABILO, you know, they come in this really lovely tin, which is great. I think that's a great idea. I think keeps them secure and safe, whereas, you know, packets of Poscas I've bought before, they're all just straight up loose and I have to find storage for them. So that's definitely one bonus to this STABILO set, is that they come in a lovely tin. So something to bear in mind. Now time to go on and have a play with all of the materials together. Now I wasn't sure what to do, but last time I had a new set to try, I drew a bird, so I thought I would be consistent and draw a bird again. I do love birds, I think they're such beautiful animals. So I stuck with a blue jay. So that gives me, I mean, it does limit the amount of colours and stuff that I choose to use here in this test run, but you know, I don't think I can necessarily produce a piece that uses every single pen, but at least I try each variety and see how they work together. So after I've done my little sketch, I go in first and foremost with the watercolour pencils. I think that produces the best base. I think that was just my kind of feeling. Putting down a very light layer of watercolour pencils. I did learn that they do layer really nicely, so once you've say you've applied one layer, you can let it dry and then you can draw over the top. If the page hasn't quite dried yet, you can still use the pencils. You just have to bear in mind that they kind of go down thicker, because obviously the wet page is reacting with the pencil nib. And I think it becomes evident in a little bit in this example that I'm doing here. I think I draw a colour over one of the feathers. Oh, there we go. I draw over the top, and the pigment goes down really dark. But that's quite nice. I think that once it's gone down, and if it's gone down on wet paper, it's harder to kind of reactivate it and move it around. But again, I've never really used watercolour pencils, so this is all pretty new to me. Just having a play around, giving them a go and seeing how they all work together. So to use a bit of a broader range of the colours, I do give this nice little background. Annoyingly, my camera stopped recording whilst I did this, but what I had done is do an initial layer of the colours, and I spritzed it with a little water bottle. And that was actually a really nice effect, and it just allowed a very fine layer of water to go over the top, and I could just then smudge it around with my brush. But that was nice, and they do make a nice layer. I don't think you'll get a lot of pigment, I don't think you get a lot of vibrancy unless you're really kind of pressing with the pencils, but that didn't matter to me too much because I was just doing a base layer. So once the paint had dried, or the watercolour pencils had dried, I went over the top with the brush markers. Now these markers are just delightful. They are so vibrant and they really are a pleasure to use. You can get some really fine lines, you can get some nice bold lines, and they just pop. So that was a real joy to have a go. So I focused on the background first, and then I went and drew some detail over the bird with the blues. So I don't know what I was doing, I was just playing with the tools, and I think it's fun to do that every now and again, you know, especially if you're new to something. Just give it a go, there's no harm, and you can't really go wrong. I think a lot of us artists feel like we need to be good straight off the bat, but that's never going to happen. You know, we are going to be bad at the first attempt of any kind of art material. And I'm certainly not happy with how this came out, but I still did it and it was still fun. And I'm still building up the courage to make stuff that I'm not happy with and share it. I think we can all try that a little bit more. We can all be a bit more confident, have a bit of bravery, and just make stuff, even if we're not happy with it, and share it, because what's the worst that's going to happen? Not a lot. You know, you can just try it again some other time, it's fine. But yes, going back to these pens, they are really lovely to use. Really, really enjoyed them. Now over the top I started applying the acrylic markers. They layer up lovely. I think that's probably the best way to go. I don't think I would want to... I think this is probably the best order of things to use, to do the pencil first, apply the pen, and then the markers can go over top. I wouldn't necessarily apply the pen over top of the markers or anything like that, just because the markers are so pigmented and so bold. Plus I don't think the surface is necessarily easy to work over, except you can apply acrylic marker over the top of acrylic marker. I think that's fine. But all in all, I had such fun creating this little art piece. So if you like it too, do give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and if you want to support me and the channel, it'd be great to have you on Patreon. I will give you all of the important links below. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll leave you there, and I can't wait to see you again for my next video. Bye guys!